can and can't do in a little area. We can't do everything that people want because a lot of it is county council's responsibility.
Indeed.
And if the community council taking over those responsibilities, which you do when you do a capital asset transfer like a community
Yeah.
centre and things like that, it's to keep facilities going.
I think moving forward, we have to find a way that if um, if if Bridgend County Borough Council aren't going to maintain the area properly, we have to find a way of doing it. It's as simple as that. My view is that's what we pay our council tax for, and we should be
Yeah,
demanding those services of Bridgend Borough Council. We certainly should not be whittling down the small amount of precept that community or town councils get, that they have very, they should be spending it on the niceties rather than essential services.
it,
So we should be absolutely insisting that the councils work in a better way. Now, if that does require a more joined up approach where people work together, then that's what it has to be. But we need to start demanding that does take place. And I mean, I think that's going to form very much a lot of people's thought processes, certainly in May next year.
yeah. I think a lot of the problem is with the council at the moment is very much tribalistic, parties against parties. Instead of trying to find ways to work together, whether you're independent, Labour, Lib Dem, Conservative, whatever, put your animosity aside and work for the betterment of the community.
Well, I think
That's what it should
as
be.
you well know, Luke, on BCBC, the Liberals have always been very much working hand in hand with, obviously, with part of the independent groupings. Um, but obviously, previously we led the Rainbow Coalition,
Yeah,
going back some time. Um, when you talk about tribalistic parties, let's be very clear that they generally are one of two colours, and like to argue with, well, one of three, I suppose, maybe sometimes.
well, I
Um,
think even in the independent group that's on the council now, we can. They well, I'm not a councillor on there, so I can't say we. They can be slightly tribalistic of banding together, and that's the problem. Everybody's working against each other rather than. I think at community council level, you find people from different parties and different groups working together better than you do
Certainly,
on.
and I 100% agree with that, because what I see on Valliston Community Council, is very much people working together for the better of the community.
Yeah,
When you watch and you hear some of the stuff that comes out of Bridgend Borough Council, it tends to be opposition for the sake of opposition. It's ridiculous. It is all about working together to get a better county, to get a better town,
yeah.
to get better communities within those areas. So 100% agree with you. We have to work together moving forward for the direction for all of them.
Yeah, the thing I don't like, it's why I'm an independent, I don't like about party politics, nothing against you or anything like that. It's when you see them voting en masse for something that clearly is against what the town wants. Like the increase during the pandemic, during lockdown, of council tax. The people of the county clearly didn't want the increase, and every other councillor who wasn't of a particular party voted against or abstained, but the particular party voted en masse. And that can be seen as a message that we do what the
You
party says.
yeah. And again, I think I'm very privileged that I've never been told how to vote,
No,
what to think, and quite frankly, I would not
no,
be sat where I am if that was the case. However, I've witnessed 100% what you're saying,
yeah,
and I agree with you. It's not. It should never ever be about the party. It should be about the community that we represent, what is
yeah,
best for our people. And I certainly would like to think that, speaking for myself, and I can only speak for
yeah,
myself, that the people in my community know me well enough to know that I'm never afraid to mince my words. And if it upsets people, it upsets people. But I will always have my community's interests at heart. People will disagree with me; they always will.
Oh yeah.
That's the nature of having an opinion. Is someone will have an opposite opinion. But it's not about towing a party line. It should never be about towing a
No,
party line. And if we go back to if we go back to just the Princess of Wales campaign we talked about a little bit earlier, what was notable from that is, I mean, you were talking about a majority Labour borough council who towed the line against. They would not come out and support Bridgend keeping their services. They towed the line that they would go with the South Wales plan, and that was ridiculous. Our community should have, we should have been up in arms. If it had been a Conservative government that had been talking about, can you imagine? Can you imagine? But it wasn't. It was a Welsh Labour government that was talking about cutting services in Bridgend, and the Labour Party did nothing about it. And that, for me, is what you're talking about. Block voting en masse, party voting, and it's not.
Yeah, and we've seen times when there are consequences. Going back to the Vale of Glamorgan merger with Bridgend Town Council that they were trying to do. Now, when that vote came up, 6 Labour members voted against it or abstained. Whether this was a thing after, but all 6 of those members were eventually deselected.
Yeah.
Good on those members standing up for what their communities want. The vote passed in the end, and the Welsh government, the Welsh Assembly ruled that they couldn't do it anyway. So it was all a pointless exercise, a lot of money wasted on,
as usual,
on that. But
and we wonder why people don't believe in these types of.
But the telling thing is that these Labour councils that stood up and voted what their constituents wanted against party lines, what the party was telling them. I think the majority of them came back as independents. And we see that, and they're still doing good work today, and they're still independents. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Conservative or Labour or any other party, they can't do good work, because I've seen good work, and I've seen good work from councillors, both Labour, Conservative and things like that. They do good work and stand up for their communities. We've seen that in Bracklow with Save the Field, with Mayor Spanswick, who stood up and was counted for something that was important to his community. And I like it when I see something like that. We saw it with 2 of the Sarm Labour representatives when Tom D the housing development came up in. I think they either abstained or voted against it. It's good to see when their community matters more to them, and I think we need to see more of that from these parties. If parties started doing that, people could be more understanding of things, that they're looking to do the best for the communities.
I think what's most important isn't the party in these type of elections. The important thing is the energy of the person and the willingness of the person to stand up and do what's right for their community. And it doesn't matter whether they're red, yellow, blue, green, whatever. It's about, is that person going to stand up and look after and do what's best for me and my community? And if the answer to that is yes, then that's the person that should be elected. It's as simple as that.
That's the best person who is going to be... The best person is the one who's going to stand up for your community. And regardless of what party or independent or whatever they are, they would be the best person because they're going to stand for the community to make your community better. And I think that's brilliant, and I respect any councillor from any party who actually does that, who voices their opinion, even if it goes against their party, because the constituents should always be the number one priority. Should come above party and your own perceived notions of things as well. Your constituents should override what you think, and I think that's part of why Madeline Moon lost her seat, because this is going to lead on to something else that's really got under your skin recently.
Oh, really got under my skin, yeah.
Part of the reason why Madeline Moon lost her seat was because Bridgen voted to leave, whether you agree with that or not. And we know she didn't. We know majority Labour Party didn't, but they couldn't decide what they were going to do. And she was voting against everything that had to do with leaving the EU. Whereas Bridgend, as a county, voted to leave the EU. So, regardless of what you think, your constituents are the one who are telling you what to do.
You know, I think lots of people had lots of different opinions,
Yeah.
and you know, my personal opinion doesn't make any difference at all. You are quite right that Bridgend as a whole voted to leave, and to a degree, you can't turn around to your residents and say you were all wrong. I'm going to do this regardless because I know better, and I get that completely. And you know, I think that party politicians, including my own, have to take stock and actually listen to what people say. And it's one of the reasons why I've been quite silent on Brexit. It's because I actually can't make up my mind whether it's a good thing or a bad thing most of the time. I sit in two fences. And B, because it doesn't really matter what I think.
No.
You know, people voted en masse for something that they believed in, and it's down to us to make it work. That's what politicians are there for.
Yeah.
You know, at any level, we have to do what the people want, and we have to make it work.
Yes, whether we agree or not.
Indeed.